Hello again, Unificationists. How are you doing? Here again with the message. The former video was about current events 2020, the gathering of Israel, and the great surprise. This video is the seventh part, which is about the substantial marriage supper of the Lamb, or the substantial D-Day, and the method that we must apply to have the world prepared before the coming of heaven. But before, don't forget the 7 conditions. Let's start. The substantial marriage supper of the Lamb, the substantial D-Day. In the book of Revelation, chapter 19, verses 9 to 10, King James Version. And he said unto me, Write, Blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he said unto me, These are the true saints of God, means true fathers words. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, See thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant, and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Jesus. Worship God. For the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. Then to Father. Now we are going through a 40-year course in the wilderness, which will end in 6 years. And we understand about 6 years. Father say that in the benediction for the blessing of Hunjanim and Huxanim, February 20, 1984. In the book of Revelation, chapter 5, verse 14, King James Version again. And the 4 beasts, South Korea, Japan, USA, and Germany, said amen, amen, or a Jew. And the 24 elders fell down and worshipped him, true Father's grandchild, that live forever and ever. True Father. Hell also turns around to the heavenly direction. Father say that in the Complete Examination, the Deal Kingdom, book 3, chapter 4, page 2 or paragraph 2, either one. But what is the warning for that day? True Father, the letter G is almost a complete circle. If God, as G, were a complete circle, no door will remain for anybody to enter. So God opened a little door and then made an entrance for you and me. But then the D of God is at the end. When the time comes, God will close the door. Judgment day comes and the door is closed. Father say that in God's will in the world, chapter 33, the providence and the individual, past and present. True Father. However, God has been preparing for one great day, a heavenly D-Day. That date is the date of the return of Christ. Father say that in God's will and the world. And Son Moku, note, the above predictions can be moved forward 24 years regarding the Korean Book of Prophecies, if you remember. We know from the Bible and the divine principle that one day for God can be 1,000 years like 1,000 years one day. Well, the date is a 24-year-old day. The question is, why did Father establish January 13, 2013 as the foundation day? And even the prophecies pointed out that the end of the world would be at the end of 2012. This is like old world clocks that only have 12 little digits, and that when they strike 12, either at noon or at 9 or at midnight, it rings. I actually have one. My grandma had one. Anyway, if you see the difference between the names of Ronald and the former president Ronald and the current president Donald, so of Ronald and Donald is the first letter. So R as in restoration and D as in D-Day. And that means Donald Trump will close the date when he finishes his second term. True Father. Then will you have anything more to do? You will be surprised when I reveal my thoughts. I may explain to you why I did such and how such and such became reality. I'm not kidding, neither I am trying to cheat you. You can wait and see what happened. Some people may wonder how they could have been so stupid. I have said to you before that the day would come when one would come with me and the other would be left behind. It will surely happen to the Unification Church members. Father say that in the Complete Testament and the Deal Kingdom. And I read again the main part. I have said to you before that the day would come when one would come with me and the other will be left behind. It will surely happen to the Unification Church members. So that's our warning, right? Now, what is happening with North Korea, China, and Russia, and what will happen after the Messiah comes? I don't know exactly what is happening with North Korea and China, but apparently Russia is aligned with the US just to fight globalism. Let us not forget that the current ideology behind Russia is neo-Russianism, and that is much worse than globalism. This is the same situation when the Soviet Union supported the US only to defeat Nazi Germany, because both democracy and communism didn't want Nazism, as indicated by the Divine Principle. True Father, on the matter of China, there is a reason we fasted and prayed for 3 days at the United Nations during its discussions over the admission of Taiwan. China's role was crucial. From the viewpoint of Satan's side, North Korea under Kim Il-sung is the Adam nation, China is the Eve nation, and Soviet Union is the Archangel nation. They need to unite, but in the reverse order. With the support of the Soviet Union and China, even Taiwan should be brought into this unity. I have already linked all nations together through organizations such as the Federation of Island Nations, the Federation of Peninsular Nations, and the Federation of Continental Nations. And through them, I plan to establish a new UN in the able position. The present United Nations has lost its sense of direction. In its current state, it does not serve its fundamental purpose. We are approaching the time for action. Based on the new able UN, we will enter the age of the United Kingdom by setting conditions of prayer and fasting. I have been making all the necessary preparation. Father said that in the year 1998, March 15. And I read again the main part. From the viewpoint of Satan's side, North Korea under Kim Il-sung is the Adam nation, China is the Eve nation, and the Soviet Union is the Archangel nation. They need to unite, but in the reverse order. Father said that in 1998. There's something interesting here. True Father said North Korea under Kim Il-sung in 1998, and he died in 1994, and communism was already defeated. So it's obvious that there is a code behind the words. They need to unite, but in the reverse order. That means that Russia takes the initiative first, then China will join Russia, and finally North Korea will join. Russia has to show China and North Korea that globalism doesn't suit them, and they will join us. Once we defeat globalism, they will separate from us like oil and water, in the same way that communist countries did after defeating Nazism. This moment is similar to when Jacob leaves his uncle Laban's house to meet his brother Esau. Halfway through, his uncle Laban catches up with them. They argue but later make a pact to respect their limits and possessions. After he meets his brother, they hug and cry with happiness. Jacob represents the true democracy, Uncle Laban represents globalism, and his brother Esau communism or neo-Russianism. Yeah, neo-Russianism in Russia, communism in China, right? And North Korea. In my humble opinion, if we manage to defeat globalism and then take over the administration of these four nations, and when Tufade's grandchild arrives, we will start the dialogues with the axis of evil, which is composed by Russia, China, and North Korea, and finally achieve world peace. Then in 2032, all nations will recognize the Messiah, and in 2040, the borders will open and the nations will disarm. Now the method that we must apply to have the world prepared before the coming of heaven. Before starting with this method, let's find out what will happen if we don't fulfill our responsibility. True Father, we must have one mind and one body. This is not from you, but this is from God. One mind, one heart. You should unite with God. When I look at America and I see the free sex idea, it is very strange. Man and woman exchange seed with no love. That is why there is so much disunity and disturbance to society. We look at the historical failure of Israel to receive Jesus. I am warning you, Unification Church, if you fail, 600 million will be destroyed in a worse way than 6 million lost. Fathers say that in June 1st, 2003, Sheraton National Hotel, Washington, D.C. And I read again the main part. When I look at America and see the free sex idea, it is very strange. I am warning you, Unification Church, if you fail, 600 million will be destroyed in a worse way than the 6 million lost. To Father again, nuclear weapons like Sodom and Gomorrah and steam will blow what Reverend Moons is worrying about the most. There will be a war where the Pacific Rim will vanish. through nuclear weapons, it will be like Sodom and Gomorrah. Fares said that in the magazine Continental News 2005. When I look, and we can relay from the two quotes from two Fares words, we can relate something. When I look at America and I see the free sex idea, it is very strange. That's related to it will be like Sodom and Gomorrah. Yeah, you know, it will be like Sodom and Gomorrah. So it's free sex. That's Sodom and Gomorrah was the free sex. I mean, yeah, was destroyed for the free sex and homosexuality and all these things. So yeah, you know what I mean. So let's continue. You remember that I told you that if the United States doesn't fulfill this responsibility, it automatically ceases to be the New Jerusalem and becomes the New Babylon? Well, below is a video of a Christian who explains, based on the Bible, that the United States is Babylon and how Russia is going to attack with the weapon of indignation. This prophecy pointed out that the Third World War was going to break out before 2017. Even many prophecies pointed the same. The reason it didn't happen was because Donald Trump was elected. If Biden wins, it may happen because Biden is equal to. Below is the link. The name of the video is "Survive the End Dates" by Nathan Shepard. He's a Christian. The video is interesting. When Vladimir Putin was very upset with Obama and the United States, it was a similar situation when Jacob took the birthright and went to where his uncle Laban was, and Esau swore revenge. Remember that part? This will not only happen with the New Jerusalem, but with the former Jerusalems. South Korea with North Korea, Israel with Iran, and Europe, Roman Empire, after Christianity obviously, with Turkey. Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire with Islam was an imitation of the Roman Empire with Christianity. 4 reasons why Turkey, together with President Erdogan has resentment against West Europe. 1. Europe is Christian and Turkey is Muslim. 2. Erdogan wants to reestablish a theocracy in Turkey while Europe is democratic. 3. Turkey has tried to join the European Union several times, and all those times it has been rejected. And 4. President Erdogan was seduced by the neo-Russianist ideology. The Korean books of prophecy. Do not ever doubt that the Heavenly Holy One will descend from heaven in the East. If the East fails to recognize the Holy One, he will come to be known through newly educated Western people. If both East and West are unable to discern the Holy One who is to come, both East and West will be discarded and a new humankind will emerge. What can we do? That's you can find that in the Complete Examination, the Ideal Kingdom, Book 6, Who is He? Chapter 2, Interpreter Samaku. And I read again the main part. If both East and West are unable to discern the Holy One who is to come, both East and West will be discarded and a new humankind will emerge. Fares said, I am warning you, Unification Church, if you fail. The question is, what is our responsibility as unificationists? In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 12, verse 25, King James Version, and Jesus knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. In conclusion, if we don't reunify as a movement, the whole world will not be united and 600 million will be destroyed. The temporal division comes from heaven. Before starting to explain the reunification method, I will explain the importance of temporal division. The principles of resurrection are the same principles of creation. For example, the principle of origin, division, and union in creation is the same in resurrection. So the division that we are experiencing in the movement is a division caused by heaven. But as the same principle says, origin, division, union, the origin and division must be temporary, but the union must be eternal, forever. In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 10, verse 35, for I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And the Gospel of Luke, chapter 12, verse 53, King James Version again, the father shall be divided against the son, and the son against the father, the mother against the daughter, and the daughter against the mother, the mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And to father, that is why do not be sorrowful if you see the church sway. Do not be sorrowful if you see an ideology create disturbance. Do not be sorrowful if you see a sovereign collapse. Do not be sorrowful if you see your parents change. Do not be sorrowful if you see your brothers change and fall away. Even if everything in the world that you have relied on and trusted should sway, your heart should be composed. You must know that God is unswayed, and even at this very minute, He is coming to you. You must understand that He gives us pain because it is part of a great promise to connect us with that day which He treasures and with the pain that He had gone through. Such a time is needed in the world in order to find a person who can grasp onto heaven in such circumstances and call out to others saying, let's go together, let's fight together, let's take action together. True sons and daughters who have loyalty during times of great difficulty. December 1961, at the old headquarters church in Champadan, Seoul, Korea. And I read again the main part. That is why do not be sorrowful if you see the church sway. Do not be sorrowful if you see an ideology create disturbance. Do not be sorrowful if you see a sovereign collapse. Do not be sorrowful if you see your parents change. Do not be sorrowful if you see your brothers change and fall away. The three reasons why this division was necessary. 1. To promote competition in goodness. Who sacrifices the most, who serves the most, who loves the most, who works the most, and who suffers the most, etc. Yeah, to promote competition in goodness, right? 2. Father. Suppose two factions appear in the Unification Church. You don't have to give yourself a headache trying to choose the right one. The criterion is who works the hardest for God's will. The person who sacrifices himself for the sake of God's will and tries to give himself for the sake of the world more than others is the one to follow. The most valuable person is the one who works for the sake of the unity of the world, even at the sacrifice of his parents, spouse, and children. He is the one who is closest to the tradition of heart. Thus, denominationalism will never arise in the Unification Church. Father said that in God's Will in the World, chapter 34. And I read again the main part. The person who sacrifices himself for the sake of God's will and tries to give himself for the sake of the world more than others is the one to follow. The most valuable person is the one who works for the sake of the unity of the world, even at the sacrifice of his parents, spouse, and children. 2. If our philosophy is unificationism, our final exam is definitely on that subject. Yeah? To Father, you should ask yourself what was wrong with the Unification Church, what was wrong with me, what was wrong with the blessed families. You can answer these questions completely if you think and ask logically. Father said that in August 30, 1995. And 3, if we unite again, we will be an example to the world. Okay, we stop here and we continue in the next video.